listen-only mode.
Cool. Right. Hey guys, it's Dan from Dan Mental Fitness here, and we are doing a webinar on bikini competitions and women getting super duper lean and photo shoot and Instagram model girls and that type of stuff, because we get hammered on a daily basis. I've been asked by a number of girls to get them in shape recently, getting them to sort of suboptimal levels of leanness, step on stage or get into a photo shoot shape. And I kind of wanted to outline what the whats and the whys and who should and the who's and that kind of thing. So what we've decided to do is put our heads together with a DMF client. She's been a long-standing client of mine for, don't know, 3-4 years. We've worked together on some projects and stuff, and it's Vanessa. So Vanessa, thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you on, and basically I'm just going to get you to, because I talk too much and I dictate conversations, so I'm just going to get you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself and what you do and just life.
Right. Hi everyone. So I'm Vanessa, and I am first and foremost a wife and a mum of 2 kids. So I've got a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old. So that's what I do mainly, but in between that I'm a female fitness coach, and I run an online boot camp, so I'm super duper busy, just running around doing what us females do, trying to multitask at different things. Yeah, so that really in a nutshell is what I do. I've been a PT for about 5 years now, and I help predominantly women get into shape. Mainly women of ages between 25 to 55 who are just looking for overall general fitness. So I don't really coach bikini girls myself. But yeah, so that's what I do.
Nice, cool. So talking about business and stuff it's one of my big passions and stuff, is working on businesses and stuff like that. So talk a little bit about what sort of time are you getting up in the mornings every day?
I'm getting up at 5 a.m. every morning, and the reason for that is because I do an online boot camp which is live at 6 a.m. every morning. So I get up an hour early, so I have an hour to myself to collect my thoughts and basically get myself into a really good place. So I've started like meditation. So before I do anything, I spend an hour working on me before I start my work, really.
Cool. Hippie. All right, fine. So you got you're quite a driven businesswoman, having known you for a really, really long time. So you're sort of similar to me in many ways, in that you just really want to succeed with your business and really enjoy the kind of watching people get sort of transform their bodies and lifestyles and really kind of fall in love with exercise and nutrition, but also I think you get a real kick out of seeing the business side grow and helping more and more people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that covers this business. I'm not going to talk too much about business because I get into that side of things a little bit too much. What I want to talk about is obviously being a mum as well. We're going to go into that in the future. So what I'm going to talk about now is, let's just delve straight into getting really, really, really lean, and basically the details and whatnot. And we'll talk about, maybe we might have some different opinions on it and things, and that'd be quite good. I'm naturally a really opinionated person. I can't help it. And you're more laid back than me. So
yeah.
It might be it'd probably be pretty straightforward. It'll probably be over in about 10 minutes. You'd be like, yeah, that's probably about right, and then be done. So let's talk about getting into bikini shape. So that is really getting yourself to a very low percentage body fat. So stepping on stage, getting yourself all tanned up and stuff. What drove you to do that in the first place?
I think I've always, when I first started fitness, I was a gym bunny, so I would be in the gym for 2 hours doing cardio every day, 6 days a week. And then I came across a photo of Nell McAndrew. I don't know if anyone knows who she is,
Oh, Leeds
but
fan.
I saw her and I thought, wow, hot. And she looked amazing, but she wasn't just skinny like these supermodels or anyone like that. She just had like a really feminine physique that was strong and muscular, and that really appealed to me. And I just thought that is what I want to look like. So I literally took the picture. I went to a local personal trainer and just said, I want to look like her. Can you do this? And he said, we'll give it a go. And off I went. And so that kind of introduced me to weightlifting, which I'd never done before. And I just kind of released a passion, basically, of something that I really wanted to do. I enjoyed, I was good at it. And yeah, so from there, then I saw people, it wasn't very popular at the time when I first got into it. Literally, I stepped on stage and there would have been about 6 girls in my category, and now when I step on stage, there's probably about 40 to 60. It's just exploded. So when I first stepped on stage, it was due to the fact that I'd seen one of my old school friends do it, and that really inspired me to get up and think, well, if she can do it, I'm going to do it. So I did.
Cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, Nell McAndrew. Wow, that's a blast from the past. I know many of my mates have had many interesting alone times reading FHM with her. Definitely not me though. Um, cool. So what do you enjoy about? So we're going to talk about this. A lot of people are going to think that we just talk it that it's easy for a personal trainer to get really in shape and stuff. And I want to give context. This isn't just about like getting muscular and weightlifting and stuff like this. This is about understanding people really, and giving a bit of context and understanding, you know, the pros and the cons of getting to that shape. So with that in mind, what do you enjoy about these getting into that shape? What sort of, because you're in pretty decent shape most of the year round. Before you got into this, you said you're a cardio bunny. How did you feel when you were like just hitting 2 hours cardio 5 times a week, 6 times a week?
Well, you know, I've always enjoyed exercise, so I was always driven to get up and do it. But the only problem was I was finding that as soon as I stopped doing it and ate normally, then the weight would just come back almost immediately. So once I started weight training and realised that you didn't have to spend 2 hours doing cardio, you could actually do it in 45 minutes in the gym just by lifting weights, that was big for me, because then I realised that I didn't have to be in the gym for such a long time. But then I've got a very obsessive personality, I think. So once I find something that works, I tend to kind of go for it, and you know, it turns into a bit of an obsession, I guess. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah. So what do you think? What sort of what makes you keep going back and doing them?
Well, I've always been on stage, so I've got a dancing background, so I really enjoy getting on stage and performing like that. So that's never been an issue. It's something that I love to do. But I think I'm just really goal-driven. So once I stepped on stage, I knew that when I came off from the first time, I knew I'd go back because I wanted to do better than I did last time. And every time it's been about doing better than last time, and not necessarily about winning trophies and being number one. It was just to make sure to see how far I could push my body each time I did a competition.
Cool. Okay, good. Just to give some context that we've got some trophies now. Had to put
Yeah.
that in.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So that's really cool. So thanks. So now we're going to move into a bit more of how this and why we're doing this. It's not for. I have a massive split opinion on these competitions, and I'm personally a big. Having done a similar type of thing in the past, it kind of opened my eyes a bit into that world. So there's pros and cons to getting on stage, and there's pros and cons, and there's many different, and there's pros and cons to getting that lean or staying that lean. And we're going to go into that now. And I'm going to let you talk about the pros and your cons from your perspective, and then I'm going to talk about the pros and cons from how I see it, and then how I would apply it, and how maybe it would be different for somebody like yourself. So talk about the pros of that you would say of getting into that shape, not necessarily to step on stage, but getting into that really, really, really lean position of looking in the mirror, seeing shredded abs, and and defined muscle in your quads, which is you've got a picture which I've got on the screen now, which I can't share, so it just looks a bit weird. You've probably got a glisten of it in my glasses. I can't share it, but you talk about your version of of what you see the pros of it, and then we'll talk about you can talk about the cons afterwards.
So the obvious pro is that you look great. So when I'm at the finished product, basically is you've made it, you've done what needs to be done. You can stand in the mirror and kind of be proud of what you've put yourself through. It's a good sense of achievement, so it really does make you think, oh, I did that, and you've accomplished something, especially if it was an intended goal. And you feel great. So all the benefits of looking good, real positive factor of doing it. And I don't really see any positives other than that. I mean, you learn a lot about yourself through the journey, so you can grow from the experience, and when you come back to it, you can do it slightly differently. But the immediate pro would be that you've achieved your goal, you look good, you feel great about the way you look, and I honestly can't think of anything else. It's a very self-absorbed thing to be shredded and lean, isn't it? It doesn't really benefit anything else or serve another purpose other than to look good.
And that's really important. We're going to come back to that in a minute. I'm just going to note that down. It sounds really sinister now. Went all deep and it's really bad. Other people's opinions. Good, cool, great answer, V. All right, so let's talk about the cons, and let's talk about the cons of getting there, like the journey and the sacrifices that you have to make, and the actual physical cons and the effects on the body. So talk about the journey and the negative connotations of getting that lean. And we're talking, so I want to give context again, we're talking getting on stage or getting into that kind of condition, especially from a female perspective, not just looking at somebody who steps on stage or is a personal trainer. We're talking about anybody really, and the effects that it has on the body, and we're going to delve into this a little bit deeper.
Well, God, this sounds really negative, but there is a massive list of cons. So, for a starter, as you start competition, you will, or any kind of, dieting down to a photo shoot, whatever reason you may be doing it for, you have to accept that you're going to have to make sacrifices. And whilst it seems like a great idea to start with and easy, you soon realise that your social life will go out the window. You won't be able to enjoy the nights out with friends or just take easy trips to restaurants, even family days down to the cinema or anything like that. It suddenly you become very aware of the things you are restricted to do. So it doesn't really fit in that well with family life. It can be done, but you have to make massive adjustments for that. So socially it becomes difficult, family-wise it becomes difficult. You'll end up eating meals without your family. So when you sit down at the dinner table, you will end up eating separately. I still now I haven't figured out how to cook a family meal that everyone can share and work it out for myself so that everyone enjoys. So I still eat separately if I'm in a competition mode. As I get closer to my goal, changes in your body, you will notice that you become colder as you get less body fat, so that sucks because I'm a cold person anyway. Sleep issues, so you think you'd be knackered after working out really hard, but actually it can be quite difficult to really switch off and get yourself a decent night's sleep. You become fatigued, so if you go too far and you haven't got the proper guidance, it's easy to just keep pushing yourself because you think that's what needs to be done, and then you become fatigued. I think I've experienced that once and it was horrendous. I never want to go back there. And yeah, and then it's really time consuming. So the closer you get towards your goal, you have to up the ante a little bit, which means you will have to be more active. You will have to do more cardio to get there. So it's not just a case of time in the gym, it's also extra time added on as well. So it's really time consuming. It can affect your hormones. So mood swings are quite common because your hormone levels are not what they're supposed to be. And females can lose their periods as well. So it's a whole host of things there that aren't necessarily positive towards that goal.
Cool. That's really cool. I'm glad you pretty much covered most of what I would say. So the pros, I would have said exactly the same thing. So I had down in my amazing notes here. I had down. It gives you a level of focus. Getting yours are neater than mine. You have a level of focus, which is you've got something to work towards. You've got a goal that you want to achieve. Again, body confidence. It's a sense of achievement, and you can also learn what you can handle. From a cons perspective, you're right. It does the cons do massively outnumber. And I'm trying to be objective here, but I do find it quite tough. The cons do outnumber, not necessarily outweigh. I'll leave that down to other people's opinion, and I'll give my opinion later. But like you said, on the body, become knackered. It's pretty tiring. Obviously, you have to increase activity. The way we've done things is you used to do endless and oodles amounts of cardio, whereas now I try and get you to do more dog walking, which when a bikini girl comes on board, they're like, what? My old coach used to make me do 6 hours of cardio and eat 1,100 calories. And I think you finished up on around about 1,600 calories last time. So you still had enough food, but your activity was very high to counterbalance that. Lethargy, I think just general day-to-day tasks become quite hard work. Productivity goes down. All you start thinking about is food. A lot. You can become quite obsessive. Like you said about the family stuff, the flexibility with nutrition. We obviously talk about flexible dieting and a lot, and I've been through my bro stage where I preached clean eating to people, and then I went through flexibility and when I found it myself and got all my clients to do it. But when you're trying to get that lean, whether it be a photo shoot, whatever your goal may be, even if it's just getting and we're talking super lean, guys. We're not talking about looking great shape in a bikini on the beach because you're going on holiday. It's getting to the point where you're absolutely shredded. And it does have some context with getting in shape for the beach as well, but it's the flexibility around nutrition. I don't know a single person, and I think it was I think it was the 3DMJ coach Alberto Nunes said doesn't know anybody 4 weeks out from a competition who can get a burger in, because that's, you know what I mean, it's not something you're going to be able to fit into your food, because all you're going to be looking at is the volume of food. So you go very much back to clean eating again, as in solely just minimal sauce in foods and less imaginative and fun and creative, because you haven't got the calories to play with, which is crap. Like you said about amenorrhea. So amenorrhea is the loss of the menstrual cycle in women as they get very, very lean. So I've seen it with other demographics in women where which we've coached and things, where the periods disappeared. Sex drive almost goes non-existent for a lot of people. Generally tend to find that if you spread it out for a longer period of time, I'm talking about the actual process, not the activity. That it doesn't stay, it sticks around for a bit longer. Mood swings. Usually I'm on the other end of the phone, so I don't have to deal with that. But yeah, for you girls, obviously it's a little bit different. I would say you're probably the most relaxed of the girls that I've ever got into to that shape. We always kind of more laid back, whereas I think most of the other girls who obviously wanted to get super duper lean they've been highly strung about it. I think now you've done it so many times, it's just a process you go through. Whereas getting that lean for the first time, I think is it's a massive pressure. And you sit and you go, oh my god, so yeah, like you say, it's restrictive as well. But I think the big thing is the view on the body, is you've got to learn that being that lean is not actually very, very healthy at all, and it can, like, for all the things that you said, from a personality and family perspective, it's not great because you want to be able to eat with your family. But looking what you see in the mirror, you step on stage that day and you go, yeah, wow, I look great. Or you step into a photo shoot, or you get to that goal and you're like, yeah, wicked. It's what you do afterwards which is the most important thing, and learning that being in that shape is not actually that good for you at all, both body and mind. So looking, and you're always going to look and go, I should be here, I should be here. It's really hard to get girls to come from being in that shape back up to just like up to a calorie balance where you should just be trying to gain a little bit of muscle tissue each month, because they always think that they should be in that shape all the time. So have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't find it now, but I used to find it very difficult when you step off stage and you start eating. There's a couple of things. One, I used to just suddenly face plant into a big bowl of chocolate, and then all that weight is undone so quickly, and then you're frustrated because you look in the mirror and you can't see your abs anymore, and then it just spirals out, and then you just end up putting the weight back on very quickly. And it's surprising how quick that happens. And then comes you feel deflated because you don't look the way you did 2 weeks ago, and that's how quick it happens. And and it's very hard to kind of get out of that kind of negative mindset, because you don't want to wear the clothes that you were happy wearing, your self-confidence goes down, and you kind of beat yourself up over it about letting yourself go so quickly and not having control over it. So, but it's easy done because you've been so restricted for so long. So I think what you see in these situations with bikini girls and anyone that does a competition, in fact, is that you diet so much, at the end of it, you just think the one thing you want to do is eat all this rubbish. You do it, you put all the weight back on, and then you beat yourself up over it afterwards. And yeah, I've done that. I've been there, done that.
You fluffed that up quite nicely and put a really nice little fluffy bit of cream on the top. But basically, post-show, most people that I've seen who've done a show go absolutely batshit mental. They look at themselves in the mirror and go, "Oh my God, I hate myself because I should look like this," which was 2 weeks ago, and therefore then they like restrict themselves, try to get back to that level of leanness, and they're bouncing around. And guess what? That's just the same as pretty much most women who are trying to lose weight over time. They just do the same. It's the same habits that they have, and this is why this is why I think it's relevant to talk about this stuff to people who aren't looking to get in that shape. But what I wanted to show people is that even though you're a PT and you get yourself into that shape, that those behavioural patterns, doesn't matter whether somebody is struggling with just general weight loss and has never been a size 12 or 14 and just wants to get there, that it doesn't matter. You look at those girls on Instagram that I keep seeing people following, and you're just like, no, don't do that because they are talking crap, and stuff. Like the Instagram girl who was like, I eat all this clean food in my fridge, and then on the other side of it was a massive box of drugs. And it's just that kind of crap. So this is what I wanted to get people to kind of realise. It's that behavioural pattern, which is evident. So moving on, V, to I don't want to keep you forever and a day, and I want to make sure. No, don't say that because people will stay on. I want to go and play FIFA. So what I've tended to find. Right, let's talk about your nutrition history. I've worked with you for years now, and I went through my own nutrition journey in knowledge, and I think obviously you've come through that at the same time. Where would before, let's go before all these competitions, before I knew you and all that kind of stuff. How did you? What was your relationship with food like?
Oh, it's awful. So I've gone. I think I've literally hit every kind of eating bad eating habit you could possibly have. So I've had eating disorders where I literally lived off 300 calories a day and exercised for 2 hours a day. That was when I was 18. I then had a relapse of that when I was, I think, 20, 21. Did exactly the same thing. I also have done living off Marmite and toast and cereal, and then doing. I like Marmite. I still like Marmite. And then not together, separately meals. But that's all I've
I
had.
prefer
So
gin.
no, it was just carb food, but very low calorie. And I would make sure that every meal, every day, I was under 1,000 calories, and still hit the 2,000 with 2 hours cardio as well. So I've done detoxes and all sorts. So yeah, I have a pretty crappy relationship with food.
Just touching on that, so you restrict yourself. I want people to. We work with a lot of girls at working on the binge restrict cycle. What happens to the body and the brain when you restrict your body so low in calories? You do too much exercise, not the so with nutrition, it doesn't matter. You get all the Slimming World lovers and all this who think that it's special for this or this diet's special for that. It's all bollocks. All diets work if you're in a calorie deficit. That's it. That's the end of it. There is more to it than that, but that is the crux of it. When you diet too hard, when you go too low on calories, which is this is a big bugbear for me. It's like in this is what the first thing I work on is trying to make a client understand that it doesn't matter what the number of the calories that you've been prescribed are. Those are the calories that fit you for your body at that time. So what happens, and nearly 90% of women go, no, I can't do that. Those calories are way too high for me. I know better. I know better than you. You're the one who it doesn't matter. I don't care how many qualifications and bloody whatever courses you've done on nutrition. I know best because Sue from accounts, she is eating crackers twice a day, and therefore I need to do that. So what happened to you when you were eating 1,000 calories a day? Obviously, you probably lost loads of weight.
Yeah, I look great. I could fit into my real skinny, lean jeans and just, I thought I was rocking it. But the minute I stopped, and it only takes this one thing, so I'm a massive, like, chocoholic, I've got a huge sweet tooth, and that is my trigger food. So I wouldn't eat that ever. Whilst I could be pretty focused for a good 6 weeks, but and I would lose a lot of weight in that time. So I would restrict, exercise like a mad woman, and then it would take that one moment for me to have something bad. I go, oh, go on, just once then, I've been really good. I have it, and that's it. It's like opening the floodgates, and then I would eat, think, oh, that tasted nice, and then I'd have something else, and then something else, and it just snowballed, and before you know it, I'm back eating how I was, which was rubbish, so I just eat, I'd normally be really good during the day, but then come the evening, when you sit down and you unwind, then you start making trips to the kitchen cupboards, and then all the weight would just come back on. So yeah.
So yeah, so one thing I think is really important is with the whole kind of binge restrict cycle. The restriction comes from a really low calorie intake because there's guilt around food and the lack of education around food, or like for example, today I told somebody that they should really be eating around about 2,800 calories for weight loss today, and they shit themselves and said that is a lot of food, and I went, no, it isn't really because it's relative. But the reaction is always, oh my god, or it's like that number means that that them as a person is shit, so they balk at the number. But it's the body just cannot handle too large of a deficit, really. My co-coach Alan always posts up the study from Ansel Keys about what true starvation mode does. But in a nutshell, if you restrict your body, now we talk about a sensible calorie deficit, which includes your activity, your basal and resting metabolic rates, It's a simple equation. It's not 100% accurate, but it's a good place to start. And then we tweak things. So a perfect client would come on board with me. Doesn't matter what weight they are, who they're at, and all I would do with them. The perfect client would be, right, we're going to go at this calories and we're not looking to lose anything at all. We don't even care. I just want you to eat regularly, eat well,
Yeah.
eat regularly, exercise well, sensibly, get some good quality sleep, improve those habits. And after the 2 weeks, as long as all those ducks are in a row, then I would say, right, now we make the cut. And that would be perfect. That's the perfect client. I was trying to explain that to somebody today. Um,
It doesn't happen like that, does it? It's, the calorie intake scares them.
yeah, you have to, sometimes you have to sort of, you've got to play the game, I think, with it as well. So it's your body just cannot handle that level. It's like that level of energy intake. So if your energy intake is super low, your body is a reactive system. It's going to react back. It's going to send signals to your brain, and your brain does not ever say. It's like when you come in from the night out on the piss, right? Nobody ever goes into the fridge and goes, "Oh, pre-made that chicken salad. I've had 15 pints. That's what I'm going for." You ring up the kebab van and you're like, how far away are you? And then, or can you do deliveries? And you always nail whatever's high calorie. And it's the same as when you're tired. And it's the same as when you're stressed. And it's the same as when your calorie intake is not where it needs to be. So this is why we talk about sensible um, calorie deficits. So
Yeah.
let's quickly talk about, got about another 10, 15 minutes, so that's cool. So let's quickly talk about, you mentioned about the binging as well.
Yeah.
Um, now, statistically, it's been proved, and I believe Eric Helms talks about this on the Shredded by Science Academy as well, because he does a big module on bodybuilding competitions and this kind of stuff and getting into stupidly good shape. Basically, it's been scientifically proven that women with eating disorders and kind of really negative connotations toward their body, connotations, is that the right word? Negative outlook towards their body and nutrition, or past history of an eating disorder are drawn to these competitions. And lo and behold, that's kind of proven true. The good thing about you, I think, and a number of the other girls that I've helped coach as well, is that you're kind of out of that now because you've got a really good balanced approach to nutrition and it kind of fits.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to bring that to light is because in 2016, between 2015 and 2016, because we were posting a lot of stuff around your results and maybe a couple of other girls, another one of our clients, Isla, she came across to us from somewhere doing ridiculous stuff with her training. And we were posting up a lot about this stuff, and got lots of inquiries, and most of the girls that I consulted, I had to say to them, like, the things you need to work on is this, this, and this, which is eating, your habits. These people were like barely, they weren't exercising, they were training like lunatics and binge eating were all over the place. I asked pretty in-depth questions about their eating past, and lots had, a few bulimia, a few previous anorexics and stuff. So I just wanted to touch on that to sort of show that if you do find that side of nutrition hard, in a bikini competition, getting that super lean is probably not the right decision to make in life at that point.
No, it's going to just raise demons, your past demons, really. I mean, if I'm going to be absolutely honest, then there have been times when I've been stressed and trying to do a competition where the thought has, I thought, it'd be really easy just to not eat, and I could lose weight really quickly. And you have to bear that in mind and be mindful that, if you haven't eaten or have had an eating disorder, it's very easy. It's always going to be there. It will never go away. And you have to make sure you're in the right frame of mind to actually go ahead and do a competition or get super shredded without those demons coming to light again. I don't think it ever goes away.
That's good. I can't personally say that I've ever had an eating disorder. I drink way too much booze, but we won't talk about that. So I couldn't really relate in that respect, but I can understand that it would raise. But it's just really common. Now you mentioned something which is really, really important to me, because I feel that stress is massively overlooked. You came to the LTB. What was it? What was it? It was like a get together day where Greg and I did some presentations down at DMF HQ. So I'm saying all these um, acronyms, and people will be like DMF, LTB. So LTB is lift the bar. I'm lucky enough to be a mentor, and Greg is the head of education there, and he did a presentation about the effects of exercise stress on the body, where we should look at from a PT perspective and train our clients at the level that they should be trained, and we change the intensities based on their life phases and the stresses that they're going through and things like this, and it's because it's massively overlooked. Most PTs, including myself, at one point used to just push their clients really, really hard and had that go hard, go home attitude. And now I don't, and I don't think you do either. It's training people sensibly. Now, stress in the body and what it does to the body. Basically, there's two different sort of major types of stresses, and there's short-term stresses and long-term stresses that we look at. Now, I did a presentation on this, and we talked about how stress affects your nutrition choices and how hard it is. So you moved house recently, didn't you? Not well. I think it was not that recently, but it was recent enough, wasn't it?
Yeah, back in September.
How did that go?
Oh, it's awful. It's stressful. It's just a stressful time, and you know what it's like when things don't match up how they should do, and you've got kids to move, and I'm doing it by myself because my husband's working away, so the stress levels are just up there.
What were your nutrition choices like?
Awful. I think at that point I had in my mind that I wanted to do a competition, but I realised that probably wasn't the best choice because I couldn't control my eating. I was just literally, sugar was just calling my name, and I would eat it, and then in the end I just had to give in and think, you know what, I can't do everything.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the stress of moving house. I mean, last year that made me really ill. I got really, really ill, and that just kind of resonated with me, I think. And do you think at that point, no matter how, do you think that that's a wise decision for people to make, to do a competition or to get that lean, be looking at when they've got a big life event to work towards, right? So let's say take somebody who wants to get in shape to get married. I'm all for them getting in shape, but would you advise them, because I think that's one of the most important days of a woman's life, right, is getting married. It's a big thing. They thought about it since they were a little girl, and they do all the organising, because let's face it, most blokes wouldn't be able to organise a wedding for toffee. I'd like to think that I would be good at it, to be honest. As arrogant as that might sound, I'm a massive girl when it comes to that kind of stuff. But it's a massive deal for a woman. So, you know, getting in shape for a wedding, it's fine, but making sure it's sensible and all that kind of stuff. But moving house or job changes or potential redundancies and all that kind of stuff, or mental working hours, do you know what I mean? With all that kind of stuff, plus families and things. Do you think that, I mean, do you think it's a good idea to get that lean if you've got, you know, you're not really balanced around, your life isn't that balanced? If there's something that's really kind of getting to you at the moment, it could be a relationship, it could be moving house. Do you think that it's a wise thing?
I mean, no, I've had this conversation many times this week with a few of my own clients who have literally, their lives are, for whatever reason, not balanced. It could be work, it could be family, it could be a combination of all of those things. And yet they've got this goal of being super lean, and no matter how hard they're trying to get there, they can't because they're so stressed that they're still eating rubbish, and then they're beating themselves up over it because of that and getting angry and then coming to me in tears because it's not working out for them. And being there myself, you know, I've literally said, this is not the road to go down just yet. Right now, you need to deal with your family. Yes, by all means exercise, by all means eat well, but if we give them that flexibility, it kind of relieves their stress, the stress of having to look good, and focus on something else, such as becoming stronger or having a different kind of goal, rather than just weight loss, something positive, and give them more calorie allowance. So if they do want to have a little bit of a snack, it stays within the calorie range, so they don't feel so guilty for doing it. So, you know, absolutely, it doesn't work. I don't think I've come across anyone where it's worked before.
Good. I'm glad you said that, because I think it's the thing is there'll be people listening to this webinar and they'll be like, but I can do it. I will do it. I'm different. And I used to have that attitude. I used to be like, you know, I'll be all right. I never used to do things like mobility and stuff like that before training and stuff like that. And I'm really regretting that now. I'm really regretting it. I used to be able to get away with lifting really, really heavy weights because you know, and I was great. I was getting really, really strong. I was getting in great shape. But guess what? I'm a complete mess now, because if I had just done that stuff and not thought that I could get away with it, I wouldn't have these problems. And I think there's a lot of what I'm trying not to do is put people off if this is their goal to get into that shape. I'm just trying to give a really balanced view of everything. So a lot of the bikini competitions, you know, when we talk about just the bikini side of things, I'm not going to go into my thoughts on those.
Yeah.
So I won't go into that, but I'm just talking just from a perspective like busy mums, stressed women and all this kind of stuff, just focusing on just getting themselves super lean. When somebody is stressed, now women, again, we do everything at DMF is all done backed by science and stuff like this, and you know, we've done hours, millions of hours of research and stuff, and written all sorts of content on it, and done presentations for SBS and all this kind of things, and LTB. Basically, it's really frigging hard to get into really, really good shape when you are going through a massive period of stress. And the reason is like you said, because it's almost impossible. Now, you girls generally, and so if you let's put women in this box here, and let's say most of the women fit in this sort of percentage range of behaviours. Most of you will emotionally eat. So they will, you know, if something's stressing them out or bothering them, the first thing they'll do is they'll hit some chocolate or, you know, whatever it might be, but they will eat food which is, you know, palatable. It feels, you know, it gives a good sensation in the mouth and a good feeling of when you eat it, but you'll get that level of guilt because you haven't overcome that. Blokes are more geared towards booze, which wow, magic. It's like I'm a massive stereotype, and so are you apparently. So what's really important, so if I was doing this webinar for guys, like getting in super ridiculous shape, the way that guys generally handle stress and stuff, they would more go towards beer, but they'd have one big blowout generally, is what I tend to see in behaviour patterns. Whereas girls, obviously, it's a bit different. It doesn't change it's not the same thing. It's not like an escape type thing. It's like a comfort. Whereas booze is
gratification, isn't it?
Yeah, it tastes. You get it in there, it tastes good. Whereas alcohol's like an escape. But obviously they both are high. They're both calorie. You know, they both high in calories. So, but it's the negative emotional sort of side effects that you get from eating that and stuff. And this is what I wanted to kind of talk about, is getting into shape when you've got a major stressor on in life. If you've got major problems going on, something's going tits up in life, or you're doing something like a house move, you got, I don't know, whatever the stress may be, I'm not sure. You've accidentally sold one of your children on eBay or something, and getting into that ridiculous shape it's a great goal to have if that's what you want to achieve, but is it right now? And it can be really hard to kind of, and I think a good coach like yourself will look at it and say, look, it's fine, you can do it, you're capable of doing it, but is this right now for you? If you can't control your eating, then, you know, maybe just think about realigning where you're going. And that's really important, and I think that was I'm glad you kind of said that. So good. Right, so basically we've established that people who should do them should be in the right frame of mind, their life in the next sort of 16 weeks. The other thing as well is how long would you diet for?
Well, I tend to do it relatively quickly. I normally take about 12 weeks. So I start getting myself back on track around 16 weeks. but some people take longer. So I would introduce healthier foods and kind of mentally gear myself up around the 16-week mark, and then by 12 weeks, then I'm on it after that. So it takes me about 12 weeks, but some people take longer. But I know my body, I know how it works, and at this point, I know, I lean up fairly quickly.
What about when you first came to me?
God, I can't remember. What did I say to you?
Hi Dan, I'm doing a bikini competition in 8 weeks. I want to get in ridiculous shape in 8 weeks. Can you help me?
There you go.
Yeah,
But
that's
you did.
well, yeah, we did. But this is the common thing: is the people who shouldn't. So I know 3DMJ do a minimum of 20 weeks. They have to look after your nutrition and stuff for 20 weeks. Every single person in the last year, and don't get me wrong, we don't coach many anymore, who's wanting to get in from A to B, whether it be bikini, photo shoot, or just looking, you know, maybe going on a hen party and wanting all their mates to hate them shredded. They're always like, hi, I've got this thing in X amount of weeks, and it's always single digits. And you're like, okay, fine, right, how are you eating? How are you sleeping? What's going on in life? And they're like, oh yeah, well, I sleep really well. I'm like, cool, let's have a look and analyze that. And they're like, yeah, I mean 5-ish hours. Um, you're like, yeah, good one, cool, right, cool. So we need to work on that. So yeah, so longer term, we always do things longer term. It's always about, you always say to me, right, I've got a competition or I want to get in this shape by this point, and it's always around about 4 months, which is good. It's a decent amount.
I think also, I mean, for me, if I came to you with some level of experience and I was at the point of accepting anything that you told me to do, but I also think that some girls that come to us with no real lifting experience, and being a coach, it's good to know somebody before you start taking through the whole dieting process to get into a place where it's a good place to start, basically. Otherwise, you're starting with, some girls come to you and start on, they're eating hardly anything, and then where do you go from there?
Well, they say
So,
they say they're eating hardly anything, but it depends on their body composition. Basically, that what they think is eating hardly anything, it's usually restrict, 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 binge, restrict, restrict, restrict,
yeah,
binge, and it's like, right, we need
it's,
to work on being in here. Um,
yeah,
so who should do them? I'm going to say this quite simply, and hopefully you'll kind of agree, because I think we're just going to summarise that, and then we're going to open up a Q&A. Who should get into that shape? Who's the type of people who should get in? So the type of people who should get into that shape are somebody who's got a good idea around nutrition, good habits, they're feeling good, confident, they don't binge, they're certainly not having a full-blown eating disorder. They've got good habits of exercise, they sleep well, they've got not too many stresses in life. They enjoy it, and they don't have really, really negative connotations on their bodies. So looking at themselves and hating that what they see, it's feeling confident, knowing that, they're already in half decent shape and they're already all right with that. So going to that extreme. Now, when we're talking the extreme dieting, from a perspective of just getting into really good shape, maybe we can relax off that kind of blanket stereotype. Who shouldn't get into that ridiculous shape right this minute? Somebody who's having a major stressful time in life, somebody who has no idea around nutrition and training really, somebody who has poor outlook on exercise in general, somebody who really just hates and does it because they feel like they have to. This kind of stuff, these kind of the people, I think, they need to work, and by all means work with somebody like yourself to sort of have a bit of time learning everything and getting better habits over time. And I think those are the people that they really could do with a coach, I think, rather than going, right, I need to do a competition, right, I need to do a photo shoot, I need to get super duper lean, and that's how I will value myself, because that's the ultimate reason why they do it in the first place.
yeah,
If by afterwards that they actually become more like yourself, and the reason I picked you was specifically for that reason, because you've got a really balanced idea and you've got good habits, you don't train too hard, you use a coach because you need the accountability. Yeah, I think it's important to say, like, just making sure that somebody is on the right path to start before then. And I've got another client of mine who's straight off the bat said, I want to get in really, really, really good shape. But actually we've worked for around about 2 years, and she's now doing a photo shoot 2 years after I started working with her. And she's doing well. She's not, she's doing well from that. And that's what I think is good. It's like, the first thing that happens as well, I don't know about you, so you get somebody into really, really good shape and they're like, cheers, see you later. And then,
Yeah.
and then 4 months later, they're like, oh, hi, I'm back. I put all that weight back on.
That's true. That's true.
Which is like, no, this is why I said just stick around for a bit so that I can help you post diet and make you understand and get your habits in check and stuff. But everyone's like, actually, I don't really need you anymore because thanks for teaching me everything. Got everything I need. I'm gonna go now. And then
Because there is a massive down after you do a photo shoot or a competition. There is a kind of a what now scenario, and you don't have anything to look forward to. So there is a post-show kind of blues that people actually talk about and experience. So yeah, and then that's when you do need someone to help you out and reverse diet out of it or get back into normal habits.
yeah, I think I say to all my clients, no matter who they are, so any idiot can get somebody lean. Realistically, it's just a few numbers and stuff, but the process is the most important part, and in the lead up to it. But overall, the most important part is what you do afterwards, and it doesn't matter whether you're just trying to lose weight or maybe if you're 20 stone and you're trying to get down to like 12. It's when you hit 12, then what?
Yeah.
That's when the real coaching and real kind of support is needed. So right, I'm going to wrap that up, and we're just going to open the mic up or open some questions up. So there should be there's a questions pane somewhere. So we'll just spend about 5-ish minutes. If anybody's got any questions, guys. What's this doing? Show answer, show questions. Yeah, cool. See if I can. What's going on here? There we go. Being a bit of a knob chops. Okay, Nikki McMahon has just come out and said, so Nikki's another DMF client who saw me have a massive meltdown today when my finance company for the kit lease decided to tell me that I wasn't actually going to be entitled to the kit because they made a massive cock up. So thanks, Nick, for being so patient with me. She said, thanks for being so honest, Vanessa, which is good. That's what I wanted to show. The thing is like, there's no denying you get yourself into great shape. And you do it frequently and you always keep yourself in decent shape. But you are a busy mum. You have got, I mean, you do take things in your stride. Me and you are like chalk and cheese, always. Both very driven, I think, and both, like to be in shape for the most part. You probably love your weights a lot more than I like it. I'm more into my cycling now, but still want to look in shape. But you have a lot going on, and to be, so you're all and I think it's you've had a lot in your past as well. So I wanted to make sure. I just wanted to make sure people are aware. So Janine Fordham says, as you get up at 5 a.m., what time do you go to bed? Good question, because sleep's massive when it comes to nutrition.
I'm always in bed by 10. That's it.
Oh.
During the week, it's 10 o'clock, I'm in bed, and 5 o'clock I get up.
So what would your nutrition choices be if you didn't have a decent night's sleep? What happens?
When I'm tired, it's just the usual. I'm looking for carbohydrates, something to normally, if I have something in the house for the kids, then yeah, that's when I'm going to go in those kitchen cupboards and raid them. So yeah, things like popcorn, anything that's got remotely a lick of chocolate on it will be devoured in a moment.
Yeah. See, if I'm really tired, like I am today, I'm like, there's a co-op. I've got 2 co-ops equal distance from my house. Like, there's they sell Star Ramen 2 for £8. So Angie, who I'm coaching currently to get into shape for a photo shoot. Vanessa, can you talk about your RPE? So RPE is how hard you train. in basically effectively, you know, how hard you push within a session. So those of you who aren't sure, how hard you, sorry, my eyesight's terrible. Can you talk about your RP in sessions and how frequent you train as you get closer towards show day? Do you find you decrease or increase resistance sessions frequency? Um, and I think because she says I realise most women think more is better.
All right. That's a good one. I like this question. So I only train 4 days a week in the gym in a split kind of session. So I do 2 upper body sessions, 2 lower body sessions, and that's it. I have 3 days of rest, and the only other exercise I do is through work because I have to, because that's my job, and that's 20 minutes HIIT for online boot camp, and that's all I do apart from walking my dog. And when it comes to my sessions, I do like my sessions to be quite intense and to lift as heavy as I possibly can. As long as my form's good and I'm feeling it in muscles where I want it to work, then yeah. And as I get closer to competition, not much really changes in the way of how many gym sessions I do. It's still 4. It's never gone up. But just my number of steps that I do during the day will increase. So, you know, where I might be doing 12,000, that might creep up to 16, 17 as I get closer to comp. So it's really, and it's funny, it's not even a hardship. It's actually quite enjoyable and therapeutic because you get to relax and enjoy the sun. So, yeah, no long, hard slogs on treadmills or cross trainers for me.
So the reason Angie, I think, has asked that question is because with her, she is working a tremendous amount of hours at the moment. She's trying to build a business and all this other stuff. So what we've done with her training is instead of her looking at her training over a 7-week period, we look at her training over a 7-day period. She does an upper lower split, very similar to the way that you train. So she's obsessed about her glutes, just like you are, and then. So you've got very similar, but obviously the way you both handle stress. So for those of you listening, Angie is one of my clients. Is the way you both handle stress, and I probably know you both really, really well, and how you respond to stuff. I know with Angie, she needs to learn to back off, whereas I know with you, we've got you to that point already. So we don't need to do that stuff. You've got that balance and learning and stuff like this. And I think, you know, with Angie, she's sort of looking at to sort of compare. And the thing is you can't. This is the big thing. Whilst you've got similar in terms of you both like training, you both like lifting, you both PTs, and you're both doing the same. You both got the same goal. You're both very different in the way that you handle things, and it's important to look at that. So if I was to chuck 5 HIIT sessions at Angie, I know she does teach that stuff to her clients up in Worcester, but so then I have to back her off with training and take her RPE down in some sessions and stuff, and that works really well for her. Whereas with you, it's like that's where you're at the moment, and that's where you stay. We don't increase, and we don't try and work on hitting too much volume and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Next question. God, got a few. So we've got right, here we go. Janine, I don't eat meat or chicken, just fish, and I don't like eating too much. What is a good protein? What is a good protein to eat, and how many eggs a day? Well, a really good source of protein is whey protein because it's quite simple. It's easy to get in, I think. It's quite versatile, and per portion, it's quite cheap. If you eat meat, don't know. Janine, if you're a vegan, let us know.
So on that, you'd have to have a kind of either a soya protein or a hemp and pea protein. And those different ones.
Yeah, yay. I eat fish but not dairy. Okay, so whey is out then. So what we would say is buy a fish farm because that'll make life really easy. Janine, generally speaking, we would get somebody who's weight loss to try and doing resistance training to eat about a gram of protein per pound of body weight. So protein sources, eggs. Obviously, if you have too many eggs, it's going to probably bind you up a little bit and make you smell, which isn't great. But there isn't really a limitation per se from a health perspective. If you've got all your other ducks in a row, eggs is fine. Fish is great, and if you are completely non-dairy, then a vegan alternate or a vegan alternative would be something like a hemp or soy protein powder would help you. Next one was Lisa. Thank you for your honesty. I struggle with body image. The older I get, I find my eating gets worse. Like nothing will help anyway. How do you advise your over 40s clients?
So for me, it's just from experience, how I view myself through how I've gotten older. So it's just kind of being kind to yourself. This is a massive thing that I'm telling my clients at the moment, because our bodies change and I look completely different, my shape, to how I looked when I was 20. So I know I'm never going to have my pre-pregnancy body back. That has gone. But now I have a different kind of shape, which I just have to embrace and make the most of and work with what I've got. And I think I'm pretty well. And it's just kind of being kind to yourself and understanding that not striving for perfection, but just being the better version of you and just seeing where you can push it without having that image, the body perfect image of something you want to look like. Just take each day as it comes, really. That's what I say. I mean, I'm not training hardcore over 40 women to like get into competition. So I'm kind of doing the perspective of my type of clients that I train. Yeah.
That's cool. I think from my perspective, I coach a lot of over 40s clients and females, is just progress. Just focus on progress, and progress doesn't always have to come in body fat and numbers on the scales. It's, are you moving more? You're making better habits? Are you sleeping better? What are we working on? And overall, once you get all of the big, I'm going to use the house analogy, but once you get all the big foundations done and worked on, and you get all those those are set, you can then start building that house. It doesn't matter how old somebody is. In my opinion, it is never too late to get in the shape that they want to get in, but they might just need to just reframe things a little bit. So, I'm 34 in a month and a bit, and my body and stress. I got a business now and got a 9-year-old daughter who lives miles away, and I can't do the stuff that I used to be able to do because my body just cannot handle it. I'm just a frail mess at the moment. So, and this is where PTs fall down with a lot of their clients, and where I used to as well years ago, to the point where I came out of the industry, was you used to just push people hard, and it's not about pushing hard. It's about progress and meeting somebody where they're at. So somebody who's 40 something, it really doesn't matter because everybody, for the most part, are pretty similar in nature. We just need to look at what's actually needs work. It might not be, do you need to put me in a massive calorie deficit? No, at the moment, actually, what you really need to work on is, like, very simply, one of my long-term clients, 54, online client, she used to struggle like mad with her diet and drinking alcohol. She ran a business, and so she would come home and do the whole, I need a couple of glasses of wine, which, to relax. And I would just literally say to her, how many hours a week are you working? Like, realistically, how many hours a week? And she'd be like, she wrote it all down. She recorded it all for me. It worked out like 62. And that's quite a lot of hours, And I said to her, so why the frig are you going to Asda? What are you doing wasting time going to Asda? There's no food prep going on, so she's working 62 hours. When are you going to make time for your dinner? She's worried about hitting the gym, and so, oh, I should be going to the gym. I should be going to the gym. I need to fit in an Asda shop. And it was like, right, fine. And all we've tweaked, all we've done is say, right, all I want you to do every week, online Asda shop. That's it. So no more in shop. And obviously the choices are better. She's less stressed about having to go there. She's more active naturally. She's preparing her meals because the time when they asked, she would be shopping twice a week, which is what would happen. She's at home cooking her meals, and bang! Oh, lo and behold, £12. £12 come off. Um,
One simple change.
I know it's just a little tweak. We've got a few more, but we're going to have to wrap up pretty soon. So Magda has asked about supplementation. So she's asked about BCAA and amino acids, which obviously we don't really promote as not necessary. If you've got your protein intake, and generally speaking, if girls train early doors in the morning without sort of eating in and around that time, within an hour or two, we recommend, we don't really recommend anything. We just say just eat your protein content throughout the day. But if you've got BCAAs, you can use those if you want to, but I wouldn't spend the money. I would just eat your food. Oh, good question from Debbie. In terms of, let's go back to supplements quickly, just before I pass. I don't want to just pass over. Any other supplements? What supplements? Because obviously I get asked about fat burners and thermogenics all the time, which are shite and they don't work. Basically, any supplement to burn fat, if it's legal, it doesn't work. So don't have them because it's a waste of money, and don't buy illegal ones because they're dangerous. So from that perspective, from a health perspective, we like vitamin D, fish oil, and there's a couple of others. I've got one which I take called ashwagandha, which has been proven to reduce serum cortisol, which is a stress hormone, which is really, really good. Obviously in a cut, that's a really good one. And whey, maybe creatine, but other than that, anything you can think of?
I have magnesium in mine, and calcium and zinc. That's it. I normally have that in a combination.
Wicked, yeah. Magnesium obviously good, promotes sleep quality, and I think when you're trying to lose body fat, sleep is really important. You don't, especially when you're going to extreme. It's quite important to have that kind of magnesium, I think. And also zinc obviously boosts your immune system, can help boost your immune system, so not a bad little thing there either. How much do you spend on food, protein, etc. per month?
I don't really record it. I'm that laid back, I don't budget, but I'm guessing, I don't know, family shop, £100 a week, about there.
That's a family of 4.
Yeah.
Cool. So there's 2 of us in this house. I eat probably around about 3,500 calories a day. No problem at all. And I would say our food bill is around, our actual food, so not including like cleaning products, our actual food bill is like 50 quid a week for 2 of us. Actually lean meats, vegetables, all that kind of stuff. And I eat an absolute bucket ton of food. People, when they tell me I can't eat healthy on a budget, they just don't know how to shop properly. So I'm really good, having spent most of my adult life skint at shopping on a budget. And I've got to do a little kind of download, I think, for people to have, which will be like a how to do it on a budget, how to eat on a budget. So yeah, protein powders, generally speaking, will last. I don't really eat them myself, or take them myself because I don't like them. They just make me fart loads. What about you? Not the fart bit.
No, I don't fart. Splitter. But yeah, I have protein powders. I like them. I put it into my yogurts. It's a bit like a little pudding in the evenings. It's nice.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's fine. I don't mind a bit of that. But protein powders, you don't really want to spend a lot of money on, in my opinion. It's a simple one from My Protein. Go for an isolate because it'd be a bit kinder on the stomach, and use them as a sweet treat. But it's it's a supplement, but it is actually a perfectly acceptable meal as well. So a lot of people pass it off. It's just not quite as filling as getting it from a proper decent, like a proper source. It's just like if you struggle to get your protein up, when most girls start training or start getting into exercise, they go, oh my God, I can't believe you're making me 100 grams of protein. Whereas, I could 100 grams of protein I could just do in like about 5 seconds, no problem at all. Um, right, sorry, another quick one. So this is going more towards like shoots and things like that. Do you deplete? Do you autoload and deplete prior to show day?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very specific, so we won't go into that because I don't want people to kind of sort of get. We'll go into that, and that's specifically with a client of mine as well, and I'll go into why and what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to call this the last one anyway, V, because I know you've got 19 minutes before you have to go to bed. Um,
You're more
uh,
than great.
um, how long can it take your body nutrition? Hang on a sec, sorry, my glass. I just had my eyes tested as well today. They're crap, basically. How long can it take to get your body nutrition to the norm? I think all the yo-yo dieting has screwed me up in the sense of the simplicity of a calorie deficit doesn't work anymore, if that's even possible.
Oh, that's a really wide open question. I think it is dependent on who, but just got to give it some time so that your body kind of resets and readjusts to a bit of normality and consistency, really. So yeah, just keep focusing on not weight loss, but keep focusing on getting the good stuff in and getting your calories up and just maintaining that for a period of time before you can think about dieting again.
Yeah, so so this is Kat who's asked that question. It's it's more of a mindset thing, to be honest. So the body's the body. Generally speaking, if your activity's at a good level, you eat the right amount of calories for fat loss, you will lose body fat. It is as simple as that. There are more things to consider, but the likelihood is it's not. It's your most people don't really understand the level of calories in certain foods, or I could literally look at a plate of food and say, somebody says to me, how many calories do you think's in that, Dan? I would probably go 800, and then we actually count it
Yeah,
out, and it's more like 14. And it's even you've seen the teaspoons of peanut butter, and this is a teaspoon of peanut butter, this is a teaspoon of peanut butter, and one's got like this much peanut butter on it, and one's got like this much peanut butter on it, and they're like, that's a teaspoon, but actually there's a difference of like 200 calories in each one. It's very hard for people to understand or accept that actually their bodies are not really any different than anybody else's per se. It's what they're doing as a whole. And yeah, absolutely, go into not diet. Try not to diet for a bit. Just eat well and be at a maintenance. Get those that train, exercise, do whatever it is you enjoy doing. Get balance, work on your sleep, and then from that point, when you're there, then you start to reduce slowly and make sure you're consistent with it. People don't give it enough time. That's the problem. They think, cool, I've dieted for 2 days now. Why am I not in a size 8? And that's the problem. Um, do you know what I mean? I eat like 1 pack of Skittles less a week, and I'm like, why am I not shredded? This is crap.
all right.
Right, awesome. Listen, Vanessa, I'm going to let you go and have a
All right.
nice sleep and be awesome for your clients tomorrow morning. Thanks so much for taking the time.
That's all right. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Wicked. And yes, this has been recorded, so we will be able to send the recordings out. And with that, I'm going to stop the recording